Hi, I'm Quincas and I'm a synth DIY guy. Today's overview is about the awesome Product, a complete synthesizer by Frequency Central. Product is actually 6 modules in one, featuring a VCO, an LFO, a filter, a VCA, an ADSR, and a noise source behind this attractive black panel. The filter has a 3-input mixer for CV and another for audio, both of them normaled internally in a logical manner. The VCA can be switched to the EG, the gate, and the drone mode, and overdrives very nicely when fed a hot signal. The LFO can be sent to pitch or pulse with modulation. There's a sync input with a switch for hard or soft sync. The VCO and ADSR are based on Roland System 100M modules, while the VCF and VCA are based on the Moog Taurus. This is a great kit to start a modular with, since you can make music with it right away. Just plug in a CV sequencer or keyboard and go. Steve from Thonk sent me this kit along with a few others in a single box. The loose fruit, the graphic EQ, and the startup. Thanks, Steve! In the product kit, you get the beautiful chunky panel and no less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PCBs, plus all of the high quality mechanical and electronic parts needed to complete the project. The way it's thought out, you start with the motherboard, which is where all the panel mounted components go, and where the normalizations happen. I started with the resistors, placing them and soldering from above, then the single IC socket and its 2 bypass capacitors. Snap on the IC and move on to the panel components. The manual proposes a method where you break them down by type, but I decided to simply populate them all, without soldering it of course. Take care to correctly place the pots, there are a few different types. I then realized that once I attached the panel, it would become harder to solder the COM headers, so I installed them and soldered them on first, making sure they were squarely mounted. Then I attached the panel and tightened all of the nuts, and finally soldered it all up. The switch that comes with the kit is a 12-step switch, but it comes with a special nut that you can drop inside and limit the steps to 6. The manual says it's inside the pot, but mine was outside, loose in the baggie along with the switch. Notice I made a mistake. The header at the octave switch cutaway should have been a male. I fixed that by pulling out the plastic sleeve with pliers, which exposed dual metal legs per terminal. I just cut off one of the legs for each terminal and was then able to fit and solder the octave switch PCB without having to remove the header. Now let's populate the VCO PCB. This is the same PCB as the System X VCO2 by Frequency Central, which is a clone of the Roland System 100M VCO. Again, I started with the resistors and diodes, soldering them all from above, and then trimming and touching up the soldering from the back. Next came the IC sockets. I use another PCB to hold them in place while I turn it all around to solder, and I solder opposing corner pins first to secure the sockets before proceeding. Now the transistors and the voltage regulator, minding their orientation. Then the ceramic and film capacitors. Then the trim pots. Now solder the power header, followed by the electrolytic capacitors. Finally, I installed the male headers that will connect this board to the motherboard. I soldered these on with the boards attached to each other to ensure that they line up. Snap on the ICs and you're done. If you wish to take a break, you can calibrate the VCO as per the manual's instructions, and you already have a functioning VCO you can use even without populating the remaining 2 boards. Now let's move on to the filter and VCA PCB, which is the same as in the Raging Bull module by Frequency Central, a clone of the classic Moog Taurus VCF and VCA circuits. Follow the same procedure, starting with diodes and resistors. Then IC sockets, capacitors, transistors, electrolytic capacitors, making sure they are oriented correctly, trim pots, and the COM headers. No need to solder the power header on this board, as this module will take power from the motherboard. Go ahead and plug it in, calibrate, and use it if you want. The last board has the envelope generator and the noise. The envelope generator is the same circuit as the Frequency Central Envelope X, which is a clone of the Roland System 100M envelope generator. The procedure is again the same, just plug in the resistors and diodes, then solder on the IC socket and plug in the IC. Next come the transistors, then the capacitors. Finally, solder on the COM headers and you're done. Congratulations, your product is complete. That's all for this video. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, join my Patreon, share, add, yada yada yada. Oh, and don't miss my other product video where I demonstrated in action in a musical setting. See you soon and stay noisy.